Before Ra emerged from the waters, before Adam created himself from nothing, there was Ptah. He didn't create through physical acts or divine birth, but through something far more profound: thought and speech. Ptah imagined the universe in his heart and spoke it into existence with his tongue. Ptah represents one of ancient Egypt's most sophisticated creation theories, a mythology that places consciousness, language, and intentional design at the foundation of existence itself. Unlike creation myths centered on physical acts, violent conflicts, or sexual generation, the Memphite Theology, as Ptah's creation story is known, presents the universe as the product of divine intellect translating thought into reality through the power of speech. This approach to cosmogony reveals Egyptian philosophical depth that rivals anything produced by later Greek or Near Eastern thinkers. What makes Ptah's mythology remarkable is how it prioritizes mind over matter, word over action, and conceptual planning over spontaneous emergence. In Ptah's theology, creation isn't an accident or a struggle, but a deliberate act of divine will expressing itself through language. This worldview had profound implications for Egyptian understanding of magic, kingship, architecture, and the relationship between thought, speech, and reality that continue to fascinate scholars studying the intellectual history of the ancient world. If you're fascinated by ancient cosmology and how Egyptians understood the power of consciousness and language to shape reality, subscribe to our channel. We're exploring the deepest theological and philosophical concepts from ancient Egypt, and your support helps us continue revealing these sophisticated ancient worldviews. Hit that like button to help others discover this profound mythology. Ptah was one of Egypt's oldest deities, worshipped from the earliest dynastic periods, and possibly predating even the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. His primary cult center was Memphis, the ancient capital located where the Nile Delta begins, a site of tremendous political, economic, and religious importance throughout Egyptian history. The priests of Memphis developed an elaborate theology around Ptah that positioned him as the supreme creator god, the original divine craftsman, and the cosmic architect whose thoughts became reality. Ptah's appearance differed markedly from other Egyptian gods. He was depicted as a man wrapped tightly in a shroud-like garment that covered his body from neck to feet, leaving only his hands free. This mummy-like wrapping has been interpreted various ways, as representing the primordial mound emerging from chaos, as symbolizing the potentiality that exists before differentiation into specific forms, or as indicating Ptah's role as Lord of Stability and Permanence. He typically wore a skullcap, held a Wu scepter combined with the Ankh and Jed symbols, and had a straight beard, all symbols of divine authority and cosmic stability. The Memphite Theology is preserved on a stone slab known as the Shabaka Stone, now in the British Museum. King Shabaka of the 25th dynasty, around 710 BC, claimed to have copied the text from a worn-eaten ancient papyrus, suggesting the theology dates to much earlier periods, possibly the Old Kingdom, or even earlier. Scholars debate the text's true age, but its sophisticated philosophical content indicates developed theological thinking regardless of when it was first composed. The text opens with a bold theological claim that directly challenges other creation mythologies popular in Egypt. It states that Ptah is greater than Adam, who created the Ennead, the 9 gods of the Heliopolitan creation myth. The text declares, Ptah, who is upon the great throne, establishing from the beginning that this theology places Ptah above all other gods, including those who were thought to be primordial creators in rival theological systems centered in Heliopolis, or Herm. The Memphite Theology describes creation as beginning in Ptah's heart, the Egyptian seat of thought, intelligence, and will. The text states that Ptah conceived of everything in his heart before bringing it into existence. The heart, in Egyptian physiology and theology, was understood as the organ of consciousness and making it the source of divine thought. Every god, every creature, every aspect of reality first existed as a concept in Ptah's consciousness before manifesting in physical form. But thought alone wasn't sufficient for creation. Ptah's tongue, representing the power of speech and divine command, was necessary to transform conception into reality. The theology explains that what the heart conceived, the tongue announced, and that announcement brought creation into being. This process, thought, followed by speech, followed by manifestation, established a template for understanding how consciousness creates reality, how intention becomes actuality through the power of divine language. The Memphite theology emphasizes that Ptah created through every word of the god, suggesting that different words or divine utterances brought different aspects of creation into being. The gods themselves were created when Ptah named them. The elements of nature came into existence when Ptah spoke their names. Cities, temples, provinces, everything received its being and its specific nature through Ptah's creative speech. This theology presents language not as a system for describing pre-existing reality, but as the fundamental force that generates reality itself. This understanding of divine speech had practical implications for Egyptian, magic, ritual, and kingship. If Ptah created through speaking, then properly uttered words carried genuine creative power. Magical spells worked not through supernatural intervention but through tapping into the same linguistic power Ptah used in creation. Temple rituals that involved reciting sacred texts were participating in ongoing creation, maintaining the universe through speech, just as Ptah had brought it into being initially. The pharaoh's decrees were effective because they echoed the creative speech of Ptah. The Memphite theology explicitly connects Ptah with Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth, justice, and order. The text states that Ptah created Ma'at, or alternatively, that Ptah's creative act established Ma'at as the fundamental pattern of existence. This connection reveals that in the Memphite system, cosmic order wasn't an accident or an achievement won through struggle, as in some creation myths, but was the intentional design built into reality from the beginning by Ptah's intelligent planning. Ptah is described as the one who made all and brought the gods into being, and as he who created their bodies and made them satisfied. This satisfaction comes from Ptah creating everything according to Ma'at, ensuring that all beings have their proper place and function within the cosmic order. The deliberate, thoughtful nature of Ptah's creation meant that nothing was random or chaotic, but that everything was designed to maintain balance and harmony, making Ma'at not an external requirement imposed on creation, but the intrinsic nature of what Ptah brought into being. Beyond his role as creator, through thought and speech, Ptah was also honored as the patron deity of craftsmen, artists, and builders. Was Kajed, the lord of craftsmanship, and the one who fashioned the gods. This dual role, cosmic creator and skilled artisan, reflects the Egyptian understanding that creation required both intellectual design and skillful execution, that thought must be combined with craftsmanship to produce lasting reality. Architects, sculptors, metalworkers, carpenters, and all who worked with their hands considered Ptah their patron and protector. Before beginning major projects, they would invoke Ptah and make offerings, asking for his blessing and skill to flow through their work. The connection between Ptah the cosmic creator and Ptah the patron of craftsmen wasn't accidental or metaphorical, but reflected the belief that all acts of creation, from forming the universe to carving a statue, participated in the same fundamental process of bringing form from formlessness through intelligent design. Memphis, Ptah's cult center, was Egypt's capital during much of the Old Kingdom and remained one of the most important cities throughout Egyptian history. The city's name in Egyptian, Inibehej, meant white walls, referring to the fortified palace complex that gleamed white in the sun. The Greeks later called it Memphis, and this name persisted. The city's location at the junction of Upper and Lower Egypt made it strategically and symbolically important as the place where the two lands united, fitting for the cult center of a god whose creative power unified all existence. Ptah's great temple at Memphis was one of ancient Egypt's most magnificent religious complexes. Though little remains today, due to millennia of quarrying and flooding, ancient descriptions and archaeological evidence suggest a vast temple with multiple courts, halls, sanctuaries, and workshops. The temple served not just as a place of worship, but as a center of artistic and craft production, where the finest works of Egyptian art and architecture were conceived and created under Ptah's divine patronage. Ptah was closely associated with the Apis bull, a sacred animal that served as Ptah's living manifestation, or herald. The Apis bull was carefully selected based on specific markings: a black coat with a white triangle on the forehead, a crescent moon shape on the side, and other distinctive features. Once identified, the bull was brought to Memphis and housed in special quarters within Ptah's temple complex, where it lived in luxury and was venerated as a living god. When an Apis bull died, Egypt entered a period of mourning, and the bull was mummified with the same care given to a pharaoh and buried in a special underground gallery called the Serapeum. The search would then begin for the new Apis bull, the one born at the moment the previous Apis died, ensuring continuity of the divine presence. The Apis cult reveals how Egyptians understood divinity as capable of manifesting in multiple forms simultaneously. Ptah could be the cosmic creator god and also present in the living bull, with both expressions being equally real and valid. Ptah was married to Sekhmet, the fierce lioness goddess who could manifest as both terrifying warrior and gentle healer. Their son was Nefertum, the god of the lotus flower who represented beauty, perfection, and the sunrise. This divine triad, Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefertum, was particularly honored in Memphis and reflected different aspects of divine power, creative intelligence, protective force, and perfected beauty. The family grouping showed how different divine attributes complemented and balanced each other. Ptah's relationship with Sekhmet is theologically significant, where Ptah represents order, thoughtfulness, and deliberate creation. Sekhmet embodies raw power, immediate action, and potentially destructive force. Their union suggests that complete divine power requires both aspects, that intelligence without power is ineffective, while power without intelligence is dangerous. The balance between Ptah's creative thought and Sekhmet's active force produces Nefertum, the perfected outcome of intelligence and power working in harmony. The Memphite theology doesn't completely reject other creation myths, but incorporates them into Ptah's creation. The text suggests that Adam and the Ennead were themselves created by Ptah's thought and speech, making those gods and their creative acts secondary to Ptah's primary creation. This theological approach allowed different Egyptian cities and religious centers to maintain their local creation myths while acknowledging Ptah's supremacy in the Memphite system. Similarly, the text suggests that the Ogdoad, the 8 primordial deities of the Hermopolitan creation myth, were manifestations of Ptah under different names. This syncretic approach, combining different theological systems by reinterpreting them as aspects of a unified truth, became characteristic of Egyptian religious thought, rather than insisting on exclusive truth claims. Egyptian theology often sought to harmonize different traditions by finding deeper patterns that connected seemingly contradictory accounts. Pharaohs associated themselves with Ptah as the ultimate craftsman and creator. Royal epithets described kings as beloved of Ptah or chosen of Ptah, and many pharaohs took Ptah as part of their throne names. The connection between kingship and Ptah emphasized the role of the king as cosmic architect and master builder, responsible not just for military victories or administrative efficiency, but for creating and maintaining the ordered state as Ptah created and maintained the ordered cosmos. Many of Egypt's greatest architectural achievements were dedicated to Ptah or built under his patronage. The pyramids of the Old Kingdom, constructed when Memphis was Egypt's capital and Ptah worship was at its height, can be understood as massive three-dimensional representations of Ptah's creative principles, transforming thought into stone through careful planning and skilled craftsmanship. These monuments demonstrated that human beings, particularly the divinely appointed pharaoh, could participate in Ptah's creative power through architecture and engineering. The Memphite theology's emphasis on thought and speech as creative forces has prompted comparisons with later philosophical and religious developments. Some scholars note similarities with the Greek logos concept, the idea of a divine rational principle that orders reality. Others see connections with the biblical "in the beginning was the Word" and the creative speech of Genesis. While direct influence is difficult to prove, these parallels suggest that the idea of creation through divine speech and reason represents a recurring pattern in human religious thought. The theology also raises profound questions about the relationship between mind and matter, consciousness and reality, that continue to entreat philosophers. If Ptah createth through thought becoming speech, becoming reality, what does that suggest about the fundamental nature of existence? Is matter primary with consciousness emerging from it, or is consciousness primary with matter emerging from it? The Memphite theology clearly takes the latter position, presenting consciousness as more fundamental than physical reality. As Memphis declined in political importance during later periods, especially after Thebes became the dominant capital during the New Kingdom, Ptah's prominence in Egyptian religion also waned somewhat. The Theban god, Omen-Ra, absorbed many of Ptah's attributes and became the supreme state god. However, Ptah never lost his importance completely, continuing to be honored as the patron of craftsmen and as one of Egypt's great creator gods throughout the civilization's remaining history. Ptah teaches us that creation is fundamentally an act of consciousness, that thought and language possess genuine creative power, and that the universe might be better understood as the expression of divine intelligence than as blind material forces. The ancient Memphite priests who developed Ptah's theology created one of the world's first systematic philosophies exploring the relationship between mind, language, and reality, anticipating questions that philosophers and scientists still grapple with today. The image of Ptah conceiving the universe in his heart and speaking it into existence with his tongue remains a powerful reminder that consciousness, intention, and the creative word might be more fundamental to reality than we usually recognize in our materialist age. This video was created by combining human research and scriptwriting with AI-assisted visual production, bringing these ancient theological concepts to life for modern audiences. For more Egyptian mythology, related products, and the tools we use to create this content, check the links in the description below.